All right, welcome YouTube. Let me get some things set up here for our class, put some stuff in the chat. Hang tight and we'll be ready to start in just a minute. All right. It's Wednesday. It's March 8th, 2023. Thanks for joining me for another increase class. If you are watching on YouTube, check the chat links. You'll see we're also here live on Zoom. If you want to join us directly, you can just click on the Zoom link. There's a passcode to get in. And then after the class is over, I normally stick around till 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. And we talk about things, answer questions, get into the class material a little bit. So I hope that you'll take a time to join us there. I also have the class notes PDF download there in the chat as well. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to another Increase class. I'm Blake Anderson. I'm super excited to be here with you tonight. I just really appreciate everybody who's been watching these classes, who's been tuning in, who's been interacting with me on all the social media platforms. If you get value out of this class, hit subscribe. Catch me over on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok is blake.increase. And just continue this conversation with me. In this class, we take spiritual principles and we learn how to apply them to get natural results, how to get more in your life. Because, you know, the Bible says that when God created creation, on the sixth day, he creates man. And the first instruction he gives to man is to be fruitful and multiply. You see, it's God's design for all of us that we would be fruitful and multiply, that there would be increase in our life. And in this class, we're learning how to increase on the inside so that we can experience increase on the outside. So tonight's topic is lead where you are. We started getting into some leadership things last class with the third room of success, and we talked about making room for your team. And so we're going to start pressing into leadership. In this first week, we want to talk about how to lead where you are. You see, you have to understand that leadership is essential for increase. It is only so far that you can go by yourself. You know, people can become successful at specific things all by themselves. If you're ever going to do anything really big, you will not do it alone. I've said it many times. For every famous person we know who's found their face on a billboard or led a movement, it did not happen by themselves. That was the result of a team coming together to accomplish something great. Maybe you just met the figurehead or saw the leader out front, but he or she was supported by a great team of people to accomplish that. And so anyone that we see that might be famous who's achieved a lot, if that being the case, the reason that they achieved so much was their team, but it was their ability to lead their team. It was their ability to bring people together under a common banner for a common cause and work as a team for that. And that doesn't just start when you're at the top. You see, leadership is a skill and it's essential to bring increase. And tonight I want to really dig into this concept that you lead where you are. It's really easy when you're new in a company, you find yourselves at the bottom of the corporate ladder, or maybe you're new to the job force and think, I don't have the title as leader. I'm not being paid to lead anyone. Leadership is not a principle for me. And you couldn't be further from the truth. Because in order for you to be promoted into positions of leadership, you will have already had to have started exemplifying your leadership ability. You will have already had to have start leading even when you didn't know. Because the people up the chain who are looking for people to promote, I can guarantee you what we're looking for. We are looking for leaders. And we're looking to see if the people in the positions that aren't being asked to lead are actually leaders and that they're showing that they can lead right where they're at. So this is a huge principle for you to begin to start increasing your life. And it's my belief that we're entering into a time where leadership has never been so important. We've never had such a void of leadership throughout our society, especially on a national scale. And I believe that in the void of those leaders, God will raise people up who will fill them. And the people who are going to be called to those positions will be those who have learned how to lead right where they're at. So let's dig in. Leadership is essential. Point number one, leadership is essential to increase. We've got to be able to bring more people together. You see, when more people come together, we can do more. I think what a lot of times new entrepreneurs, solopreneurs think, you're afraid to bring employees on because you think, now I've got to share my money with someone else. You're thinking about it all wrong. See, when you're leading people and you bring the right people to the team with you, you're not really sharing anything. This person helps multiply what you already have. And now there's more to share. So it is an essential thing for increase. We have to make room, as we said in this other class, to bring people on. So I hope that you'll go back and you'll watch our class, the third room of success, which is as making room for your team. So really, what is leadership? Let's get it defined out there. Okay. Leadership really is influence. So this is one of my favorite leadership books, John C. Maxwell, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And this is kind of a companion book, 17 Indisputable Laws of Teamwork. John C. Maxwell really is the preeminent thought leader in the modern era for leadership. And what he says, I think so aptly at the beginning of 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership is that the true measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Let me say that again. The true measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. You see, here's how you answer that question. Am I a leader? Do people follow you? Will people follow you? Should people follow you? You see, Maxwell also says in that book, if you don't have influence, you will never be able to lead others. So let me tell a quick story about something I had to learn firsthand about leadership. I was hired as a consultant years ago to come on to a real estate development where they were doing lots of building and they needed to create a unique program inside of this development to cater to custom home buyers. And it was inside a high rise. And so when I came in there, I was brought on as a consultant, but I was given a title and I was told that this title would empower me to bring all the vendors and subcontractors to the table to complete this program that I had created. Okay. So, but what I found out really quick was that title got nothing done. Nothing. That was the most maddening thing. I spent the first week probably arguing with everybody that I met with because they refused to do anything. They had a contract to do the work that I was asking them to do. I'd created a program for them to do it. I was given the title that should have meant something, and yet they refused to get anything done associated with the program I created. What was the problem? See, I was given the title of leader, but I did not have the influence, right? So what we know is that leadership is not a title. You can be called vice president, assistant vice president, senior vice president, president, CEO, but if you have no influence, you're truly not a leader. So now let's bring this same concept to today. So I lead an organization, and I have folks that work with me on my team, and they report to me, and in the real estate development world, and we're building things. And so some of these folks are managers that work for me, and they are leading large teams of people. And they are responsible for completing these development projects. Okay. But if I walked on any one of those job sites, though I am the leader of all the leaders, I could not get anyone to do anything for me, though I had the title of big boss. And you would think big boss should mean something, and that anybody I talk to should do anything I ask, because in a moment's notice, I could snap my fingers and I could tear up their contract and they'd never work for us again. But there's no way I could get any of them to work for them, because though I had the title of the biggest boss, guess what I don't have on those sites? Influence. Don't have any influence, because the guys that work for me have influence. So understand that leadership is influence, right? Will people follow you, and should they follow? Do you have influence over someone else to get something done? Because that's ultimately what a leader's main tool. A leader's main tool is influence, their ability to persuade or motivate or empower someone to accomplish something with them. Okay, so at the root of it, we have to understand that leadership is influence. So let me tell you what leadership is not. Leadership is not management. So we're used to so much in our corporate world, we talk about upper management and mid-level management and my manager and the corporate management. Right. But we have to understand that management and leadership are not the same thing. Oftentimes we're hearing the title of manager or management, but they may not necessarily be a leader. And it's really important for you to understand, because in this leading where we're at, we're going to find ourselves either at the bottom of the management hierarchy or throughout the middle up to the top. But we have to understand that our title does not make us a leader. It's the influence that we have with people that makes us a leader. So let's talk about the difference between leadership and management. And there's nothing wrong in management. Management is this important function of teamwork, but is not the function of leadership. Okay, so what is management? Management is reactive by nature. Management is about controlling things. Okay, the function of management is about implementing a plan. Okay. Management is about keeping things organized. Management is about instructing the granular details or minor steps of a direct report. Okay. And that's very different than leadership. See, leadership is proactive, not reactive. Where management deals in control, leadership uses influence. Because ultimately, if I try to control someone, I'll lose influence with them. And though I may have the ability to control them to do something, in order to get them to do anything of measure, I'll have to have influence to motivate them to do more. So whereas management is about implementing a vision, leadership is about casting the vision. Okay. Leadership sets a vision of a place that we are going. It sets the vision of a goal that we're trying to accomplish. Okay. Leadership inspires people to come together and work together. Whereas management organizes something existing that we have, leadership innovates and creates new things. Leadership ultimately is about empowering people to come together to accomplish something. Okay. So there's a difference. You're given a management title, but that doesn't necessarily make you a leader. But on the flip side of that, you may have no title that speaks to management at all, yet you might be the strongest leader or the leader with the greatest influence in your organization. Because it's not your title that gives you influence. It's the rapport that you build with people. It's your ability as a leader to influence others, to proactively start to move towards a future goal, to be able to inspire others, to innovate and create new things, and to empower others. This is a function that you can do when you're on the bottom of the ladder. If you are the new hire in the organization, you can immediately start empowering those around you. You can inspire those around you with the way that you work. You can create new things that might make your job or the company better, right? You can begin to see a vision of something that your company is trying to accomplish. See, ultimately what I'm saying is leadership is a form of service. The best leaders are servants. They understand that their job as a leader isn't to be listened to. Their job is to serve those who are helping them create something so much bigger than themselves. So even when you are a leader and you have direct reports and a chain of people that all report to you, your influence will come and you'll accomplish more when you're able to influence, empower, inspire these folks to accomplish something greater. And you'll do that by serving them. There's an old adage that says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's a really important thing to remember when you're trying to grow in your leadership and grow in your influence. You need to serve others to create that bond and the rapport that develops one day into influence. So we think about leadership normally from a top-down perspective. And some of you listening have direct reports, have people below you in the org chart that you're leading, and you're leading down the chart, down the org structure. And then I want to cover that for a minute, but really where I'm also getting is I want to get to a point where I empower everyone to understand that there's two ways to lead. We can lead up and we can lead down, and we've got to be effective at doing both. And when we are, then we'll begin to see greater increase in our life. So let's talk about leading down. I think most people are used to this, so we'll present this concept first. The person that is leading down the org chart or has people that are answering to them or following their lead, your primary goal as a leader is to set a vision, is to set standards, is to set principles. Okay, so you're setting a goal to accomplish. You're creating the standards and the principles in which the team is going to interact together to accomplish those things. Okay. Remember, management is about control. Leadership is about influence. Management is about organizing something and implementing something, and leadership is about casting a vision. So when you lead down, you have to start by presenting a clear goal. Where are we trying to get to as a team? Your communication must be clear. Set a standard. This is the way in which we're going to do it. And these principles are important to us. When you lead down and you have people answering to you to serve your vision, you need to create an environment for success. So it's up to you as a leader to create a team that can function well together, that the lines of communication are open, that everyone is clear about what their responsibility are, that everyone knows what's expected of them. Right? Where it's an environment where they're able to succeed, where everyone on the team feels like they're in the right place and able to offer what's being asked of them. So a leader has to create an environment for success. Sometimes that means creating structures. Sometimes that means implementing software. Sometimes it means taking extra time to work out differences between team members, but a leader has to create an environment for success. So as much as you have to build your influence with each other, you've also as a leader have to help the rest of the team build rapport with each other outside of you. So sometimes you're the mediator, but oftentimes you're needing to strengthen the bonds and the links on between the other team members, not just their respect for you. Okay. So in a similar way, the leader leading down the org chart and down the structure has to empower the team to accomplish the goal. As I said, you might create a structure. You might work out some of the communication details. And if you're going to lead down, one of the most effective ways to gain influence as you have people reporting to you is you've got to lead by example. Whatever standard you set for the way in which you're going to accomplish your goal and whatever principles you're asking the team to live by, you must be the example of the standard and example of the principles. It is never okay for the leader to say, I'm too busy to live up to the standards I've set or to do the principles that I've set. You can only set standards and principles that you as a leader are willing to live up to. And no matter how high you set them, you will have to do it. And you can never, ever give an excuse like, well, I'm busy and, that's why I'm the leader. So you have to do those things. Now, you might delegate the work in a different way, but you must always lead by example because the leader is the lid. Okay. And everyone's looking at the leader. And so wherever the leader draws the line, not in the words that he or she says, but in his or her behavior is where the rest of the organization is going to come up to, but they will likely not go any further than the example that the leader has set. So remember that. So that's leading down the org chart. But where I really am trying to go with this, because I recognize that probably most of the people that are watching this may find themselves a little bit lower in their in the org chart of the ministry or the company that they work for, and maybe haven't thought of themselves as a leader. But I want you to understand that you are a leader. And so it's imperative on you, if you want to increase in promotion and responsibility and influence, right, then you've got to learn how to lead up, because when you learn how to lead up, then you will be pulled up in the org chart. You'll be pulled up into greater positions as you learn how to lead up. And it's important for us to continue to grow in our leadership because, as we said, leadership is essential to increase. All right, so how do we lead up? How does someone at the bottom of the org chart lead up? How does a new hire lead up? Maybe they've just been there. How are they to be a leader? Well, here's what you want to know. You lead up by adding value, okay? And I'm not talking about brown nosing or, kissing up to leadership to just try to get a promotion and being a yes man, but you genuinely add value, adding value to everyone around you. So if leadership is influence, then I can lead a coworker who's on the same rung of the ladder with me by getting influence with that person. And I'm going to get influence in their life and their position by adding value to them. Remember, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. They will begin to give you influence over them as you serve them. So you add value to those around you and you add value to the leaders above you. Okay. So the more you add value to the leader above you, then that leader will want to reciprocate and will want to pull you up higher in promotion. So I'll tell a quick story. I was taught this at a young age. I was just getting into my working career, and I was getting into the construction industry. Now, my uncle was a builder, and I was about to join a framing company just as a hammer swinger, right? Just a nail pounder. And but I was super excited to learn how to build. And so I went and I had dinner with my uncle and was asking him what I needed to know so that I could learn and I could get promoted very quickly. And my uncle told me, the best helpers make the biggest difference on a construction site. Your job as a helper is to stay one step ahead of your lead carpenter. He should never have to ask you for a 2x4. He should never have to ask you for a sheet of plywood. He should never have to ask you for nails. You should be so in tune with what's going on the job site and what he needs to keep moving that before he has to ask you, you've already got it waiting. And I took that to heart. And it was that wisdom that allowed me to get promoted through the ranks so quickly to the point where I was able to just start my own business within just a couple of years of getting into the construction industry. So ultimately, what was he teaching me how to do? He was teaching me how to add value. He was teaching me how to lead up. So I didn't try to take my boss's job. I tried to help my boss get more done. I didn't ask my boss for recognition. I tried to help him succeed. I tried to help him look good. I tried to help our crew get our project done faster. And so when you're adding value and leading up, you're not worried about yourself, you're worried about the completion of the goal. But here's the cool thing. If you'll let go of your own promotion and you'll put your sights on the team's success, what will happen is you'll get recognition and you'll succeed. All right, so we lead up by adding value. Another way that you lead up is by being a resource to your leader and being prepared, being someone that your leader can count on, someone who's not doing the bare minimum, but someone who's always offering to do more, someone who sees the goal and is committed to completing the goal, rather than someone who's counting the hours in the day until they get to leave. Someone who is a resource. So knowing what the leader values, not in a way to just try to bring attention to yourself, but understanding the importance of the leader. And so you lead up by adding value to the leader, being a resource to the leader, volunteering to bring the important things to the meeting, volunteering to do the hard things, seeing where your gift can offer to the team, and being that resource that can be counted on. So you have to be counted on. Can they count on you? Are you trustworthy? Can they trust you to complete something when you say you will? That's how you are a resource, and that's how you lead up to be accountable. Someone who's going to complete something without fail. When the leader can give you a task and you can execute without them having to follow up, and they see the result is it got done right, it got done on time, it got done on budget, you will be seen as a resource. And that is a form of leadership. They're seeing that you can lead yourself. They're seeing that even if it's just you, that you're able to take that small project in the greater project. That is a leadership ability, being able to complete things on time with excellence, being a resource, being prepared. Okay. So a concept that I really love that's in this book, 17 Indisputable Laws of Teamwork by John C. Maxwell, is he calls the law of the catalyst. So another way to lead up is to be a catalyst. And what Maxwell means by a catalyst is someone who is a game changer, someone who makes things happen. You lead in your organization when you become someone that can make things happen. Like I said, when the leader can count on you to get it done. Okay. So it's probably the kind of environment that many people are going to be hired into, is you won't necessarily be hired as the leader right out the gate, right? But you'll be brought in because either the company is growing or there's been some turnover and there's some disarray in the company, right? So in those situations, when you're new, you have the best opportunity to be a catalyst because you can come in and make something happen. If someone had just quit, then the organization might be in some momentary disarray as they are missing a personality that they're used to having. You can be a catalyst by filling that void and doing something new with it. If the organization is growing and so they bring you on, then there's momentum going in the right direction. You're a catalyst that continues not just to keep it moving at the same pace, but to multiply it and to help that company expand even greater. Okay, so a catalyst makes something happen, and that's a way that you lead up when you're the person counted on to make something happen. Another way that you can lead up is you give honor and respect to the final decision that your leader makes. You have to remember, still, most of the decisions will not be yours to make. And you'll need to honor the decisions that your leader makes. And there'll be sometimes that you'll have done all the work. You'll have been completely prepared. You've been the resource. You provided all the information. You have found what you think makes sense, and the leader decides to go a different way, even though you've done all this work and you have a different recommendation. Ultimately, you lead up when you honor them by respecting their decision, and you get on board the new vision and you help make it happen that way. When you don't have hurt feelings because they choose someone else's idea. When you don't have hurt feelings because they said no to your promotion. When you see the vision, when you see the new direction and you pivot into it and realize that your pathway forward will be as you agree with where that organization is going. So I was hired on as a consultant and a ministry almost 10 years ago. And when I came on board, I was kind of brought in the middle. I was brought in the middle of the organization, and I was empowered to be a leader to help make some decisions. But it was an interesting place, as I had to learn how to lead sideways. It wasn't so much down, but I had to be able to help take the vision that the director had and bring the troops together around that vision, kind of working behind the scenes, because my role was to put process in place that was missing. And so I had to lead sideways and get influence around them to get all these talented people on the same page working together, but also had to learn to lead up. So there was oftentimes I was doing all this legwork to get so many things together, and I would present it, and it was ultimately not my decision to make. I found myself super invested in what we were deciding to do and which way we went, and I did all the work to make it happen. But ultimately, whatever the leader said, I had to respect it. You know, the Bible talks about respecting authority and honoring those above you. And increase can only really come as you stay in that rightful order. When you overstep your bounds as a leader, you are getting out of order. And now you're positioning yourself for decrease, not for increase. So I had to honor the decisions that were made, and I would have to get on board sometimes decisions that I wouldn't have made. But ultimately, I wasn't the one in the position to make the decision. I was a resource that made the decision possible. And then I could decide to continue to be a resource in the new direction or not. So there's many ways that we can lead. We're all leaders. If you're a stay-at-home mom, you're a leader. Even if you have a husband that brings the income to the family, you as a stay-at-home mom are still a leader. And you're a leader as you lead down to your children, and you're a leader as you lead up to be a resource for your husband. If you're an employee at the bottom of the rung, you are a leader. You're a leader as you learn how to lead those around you and get influence of those around you, and you learn how to lead up and to support your boss. If you're a solopreneur with no employees and no team yet, you're still a leader. You are there to lead your customers, because ultimately we're all serving someone, and wherever service happens is where leadership is made possible, because a leader's job is to serve someone, is to help someone accomplish something greater. So if you're selling something in the marketplace, then you're serving a customer, you are leading them, helping them get somewhere great. So I want to challenge you to think about yourself, no matter where you find yourself in the org chart, as a leader, which means your leadership is limited to your ability to influence other people. So if you want to grow in your leadership and you want to grow in positions of leadership, you're going to have to grow in that influence. And you're going to grow in that influence by the way that you conduct your business with those around you, by the way that you lead up, and by the way that you lead down. And if you can grow in that influence, trust me, as we've stated before, the greater you become on the inside, the more that you will experience on the outside. So this is our first week into about a 5-week study on leadership. Lead where you are. I hope that if you're watching on YouTube, that you'll join us here over on Zoom. And I hope that you'll tune in for the next 4 weeks, as we're going to dive into the biblical blueprint for leadership. It's a 4-step process, and it's made a huge difference in my life and the teams that I lead. So join me next week for the first week of that. So if you're on YouTube, we're going to go ahead and cut the feed now, and I hope to see you next week. If you're on Zoom, hang tight.